In a year of momentous happenings, 1987 was a year of justice, daring, and drama on the high seas. It had taken more than 40 years, but the wounds were so deep that when two former Nazis came into the news in 1987, few had any sympathy. When the Butcher of Lyon, former Gestapo officer Klaus Barbie, was finally sentenced to life imprisonment for crimes against humanity, he found it hard to get anyone to support his side of the story. One of the weightiest charges against Barbie was that he had ordered deportations to the Auschwitz gas chambers of 44 Jewish children aged between 4 and 17. Barbie, who had not cooperated during the trial, was brought against his will to the court wearing handcuffs and surrounded by a police guard. The former Nazi secret police chief in Lyon from 1942 to 1944 stood with his head bowed during the 40-minute reading of the verdict. When Adolf Hitler's deputy Rudolf Hess died in Spandau prison, it was just another chapter in a story that had been colored with speculation and conspiracy theories. On the eve of war with the Soviet Union, Hess had fled from Germany and flew solo to Scotland in an attempt to negotiate peace with the United Kingdom, but instead was arrested. He was later tried at Nuremberg and sentenced to life in prison at Spandau, where he remained until his death. When West German teenager Matthias Rust also flew solo across international borders and put his Cessna aircraft down in Moscow's Red Square, the world was bemused at this young man's daring flight into the Soviet Union, which ended with his landing right on the Kremlin's doorstep. Rust, who had flown via Finland to Russia, said he had decided to highlight the absurdities of the East-West standoff over arms control. The Russians, who were not amused, promptly sacked the air defense chief before sentencing Rust to 4 years in a Soviet labor camp for hooliganism, blatant disregard for aviation laws, and for breaching Soviet airspace. Another man who did things differently was pop artist Andy Warhol. When he died of a heart attack at the age of 59, the art world mourned the passing of a man whose knack of changing the mundane into art extended to his lifestyle. Warhol, whose silver hair and large glasses had become his signature, said he was motivated by two overwhelming ambitions: to be outrageous and to make money. He achieved both as the high priest of pop art. Warhol, who trained as an illustrator, is best remembered for a series of paintings faithfully depicting a can of Campbell's soup, which effectively launched the pop art movement during the psychedelic era of the early 1960s. This was followed by similar paintings of money, soap pads, telephones, and typewriters, all of them totally indistinguishable from photographs of the originals, and montages of Marilyn Monroe and Jackie Kennedy. Unmarried, Warhol lived with his mother in an apartment on New York City's fashionable Upper East Side. With over 500 passengers and crew on board, the ferry Herald of Free Enterprise left Zeebrugge, Belgium, just after 6 p.m. on the 6th of March, bound for Dover in the UK. Shortly after leaving the harbour, water began flowing into the car deck, and the unstable vessel capsized almost immediately, coming to rest on its side in relatively shallow water. A subsequent inquiry found that the ferry had left the port with her bow doors open, and with extra ballast still in her tanks. Neither of these alone would normally have been a problem, but when combined they proved to be fatal. Rescuers worked through the night and brought more than 400 people out of the ship alive. Many were taken to hospital, suffering from cuts and bruises, hypothermia and shock. The final death toll was 193. The disaster had unfolded in just 90 seconds, in calm conditions and shallow water, only 100 meters from the shore. 1987, a year of justice for war crimes, daring and disaster, proved to be a year of momentous happenings.